All right. Happy Saturday morning. Another episode 120 to be exact, of Hobby Hotline. I'm joined this morning by two people I'm happy to call friends. To the right of me on the screen is Mr. Jeff Dinsen, Deafness 45.
Morning.
Him only on screen is a man I always say that needs no introduction, but I will give him one as well. Hobby icon, Dr. James Beckett. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Morning.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Jeff.
So we got a week before the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We'll save that kind of for the end to kind of close it out, and then on an uptick. But one of the topics that recently news that came about that I haven't really talked about either on my show, just because I haven't got it in yet, and I wanted to find out more about it before I talked about it, and that's eBay authenticating things that are $750 or more. Just to give a little background on this, guys, it's automatic. There's no charge to the seller. So if your card sells for $750 or more, you have to send the card rather than to the buyer. eBay will contact you, let you know the location to send it to. They will authenticate the card as far as obviously to be the genuine artifact. They will also uh, check the description. If it's not they're not doing this to graded cards at this point. It's just raw cards, but they want to make sure the description of what you put in your auction post matches what the buyer would receive. If everything is on the up and up, they will put it in what I'm reading. There sounds like a sort of a mag tight case with I think it's going to have a CCG kind of label to seal it shut, and they in turn will send it to the buyer that it passed authentication, matched the description. Here you go. Again, no additional charge to the seller, no charge to the buyer. I also read they're starting with the $750 price level, but eventually, once they get everything streamlined, they want to go to the $250. So anything you sell $250 or more will get the same treatment. As you heard, it's done by CCG, which I believe is a derivative of CSG grading. This is their authentication side of the house. eBay did say, in what I read and read between the lines, it's free for now, but eventually, once they don't want to charge people while they're working out, while they're kind of learning the ropes themselves. But once they get it sort of streamlined and working very smoothly, it appears that there is going to be sort of a built-in charge for providing this service. You can't opt out if your card or set, whatever the item is, sells for over that right now 750. Eventually they're looking at 250. It's got to go through the process. So now that I explained it, just some of your thoughts. Whoever wants to go first here, is this good, bad? What do you think?
I think it just depends. I mean, I think it's going to really depend. I think a lot of people will see it as good. I think there'll be other people that'll see it as like as much as it's great to have the party or the service through who you're buying from, take that step to make sure it's authentic. I mean, people that are wanting a card, looking to get cards at a certain time, delay processes. I mean, how long do they anticipate this takes from when you buy the card to when it gets authenticated to when the actual buyer receives the card? Because in today's world, it's like this, it's like the stock market, right? Up and down. You want to get that card, you want to get it now. If you're looking to turn it, like you're wanting to take full advantage as much as you can on a flipper side, right? So how long is that process? I mean, do you send it out and it gets there in a couple days and it's in and out, or is this like going to sit there for a week or a couple weeks or a month before it gets to the actual buyer?
3 days is what I heard, Jeff. Again, it's all speculation, right? Till you actually do
Right.
one of the reasons in the article I read, one of the reasons they don't want to charge yet is because they don't know how long it's going to take, depending on how much they get, and so
See, and this
they
is
even
yeah,
they
this is an issue
even
I look into.
yeah, they even in the article I read, they even referenced the PSA and Beckett grading backlog with what they do, and they said that they don't want to charge. And if that was the case, now here's where the big problem happens. If that does happen, the seller, the buyer is going to want their card. While they appreciate it, I'm sure getting
Yes.
authenticated and verified. I bought this card. I want this thing in my hands. I'm sure I want it authenticated, especially for free. But if it's
Right.
going to take 2 months to get to me, just send it to me. I can always open up a dispute with eBay. I think
Yeah.
that's what eBay's trying to do, is sort of end that dispute process.
I
But
mean, I think it's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think what could happen here is they get themselves in a backlog pretty quickly, right? Like they get a flood of cards, and now that 3 day that they're talking about is no longer 3 days. It's a month, it's a couple months, depending. That's where I see it being an issue. I think it's great that they're authenticating it and making sure everything's legit and all that. Don't get me wrong, I'm 100% behind that. It's just that in today's world of collecting, for a lot of people, when they're buying, they want that like now, right? They don't want to wait a week, another week, or 2 weeks, or a month, that time period. So,
yeah, I think it's good. Anything that makes the hobby safer and better, like you said,
right.
Jeff. And I want to get Dr. Jim's take on this too. I'm sure he has one. I think it's good. I'm worried that, like we talked about, that backlog. Dr. Jim?
Well, everybody's right. It's good and bad at the same time, and it's good and bad for a whole bunch of entities. First of all, for scammers, this can be good news.
Right.
It tells them they can mess around all they want under 107.50, under $750, but
Yeah.
above $750, they're going to get scrutiny, and they need to, all their fake Jordan rookies need to be $749. So the scammers will learn how to play the system, and so it'll be bad for them, but it'll be good for them. And
Right.
I hope they choke. Number two, this is good and bad for CSG, because I am positive that this service was shopped around to the other grading entities, and I doubt that CSG was the highest bidder. I bet they were the lowest bidder. To say, hey, they want to put themselves on the map. They have potentially some capacity, but I bet this is not a moneymaker for them. But it does give them credibility that eBay chose them.
Yeah.
But as we said, it may add to their backlog. They may not be having problems now, but they may be having problems if they get dumped a whole bunch of eBay stuff that's very low fee, and potentially problematic, because it sounds like they have to grade the card without grading the card.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a little tricky. Okay, thirdly, I think this is good and bad for PWCC. I think this is eBay blinking a little bit, with PWCC going off on their own and bringing some high end, uh, you know, online, auction platform,
Right.
taking it away from eBay. And so what that meant is, and the PWCC has a vault and all that. So to me, this is eBay responding to that. That maybe if some really good stuff left with PWCC, they want to give assurance that if you put it on eBay, there's still really good stuff on eBay, and it's going to be fully authenticated and verified by CSG. And then finally, this is good and bad for the average buyer. The average buyer ought to have the good news that there's more assurance that when they eventually get their card, and I don't think it's going to be any 2-day deal, but they say it's going to be 2 days, but eventually they're going to have more confidence that what they're going to get is the real deal. That's good, but like Jeff said, nobody likes for their card to take forever to get to them, and this is just adding another step But again, 90% of the time, again, anybody that submits themselves to this is probably going to be okay. The bad
Right.
people are going to go somewhere else.
Right.
In the meantime, you're going to be waiting longer for your good cards. And so I think it's good and bad. And it just shows eBay. Well, the good thing is, I think eBay is trying to respond and not just do what they've always done, but aggressively add security to their platform.
Right. So 2 things. Logan has a great comment too. He said double shipping equals greater chance for loss or damage. That is true. So that's another negative side. Now, to Ziggy's comment, you're assuming PSA is involved when you make claims that will take too long. No, I mean, you're talking about eBay. You're talking about millions of transactions that go through, right? So now anything that's over that 750 mark has got to go to whatever company. It doesn't matter what company it is. They're gonna. I can't assume they're going to stay at a 2-3 day window. I can't see it once this takes off. I could be wrong. They could have a ton of people backed up to do this process, but I think we know where this is going to end up as far as like time window.
Couple more comments, Jeff. That the chat room's lighting up, which is good. Guys, I got the link to the show if anyone wants to come on and verbally talk about it. But the chat room is pretty busy. I want to highlight a couple. Kevin Jones says another step and another fee on the sellers eventually. No one brags about the low eBay fees. This might add to that non-bragging list. And there's another card killer, great card artist. I like this. There should be a checkbox for the authentication, so it becomes an option. If you don't check it off, frees eBay of responsibility. You're basically saying I'm going to trust this seller and not have you authenticate it, and I'm going to take the onus and responsibility. If this is bad, shame on me. I got it quicker, but I got my fake quicker or my not as described item faster, and eBay's sort of off the hook. I probably should be an option. I don't know if eBay's going to do that, but it's a great point by Card Killer there, also from Brooklyn, New York. Got to slide that in there. But for CSG and their division, Dr. Beckett makes a great point. This may not be a money making thing for them, but what it does get them is, there's going to be a lot of cards that probably come through the system. eBay, a lot of cards sell on eBay, a lot of expensive cards, and they're getting free advertising because every one of those cards that gets encapsulated is going to have that brand label with the CCG or the CSG, whatever I haven't saw a label as obviously as of yet, but basically free advertising. The other thing is, so now I buy a card, it passes the certification. I get the card, whatever time period that is. Now I want to sell that card. It's still in that encapsulation. If I list it on eBay myself and then resell it, does it have to go through that process again? And if it doesn't, might we start to see, Dr. Beckett's, brought out that segment of the hobby. There's some bad people who will do bad things when there's money to be made. Is someone going to, we hear about fake slabs, right? Fake PSA slabs. Other grading companies have fell victim to that. Might we see like fake CSG or CCG slab cards, like verified, that never touch their hands, that someone's just putting them in there? And I'm not even saying selling on eBay, but message boards, Facebook forums, social media, like, hey, I bought this, it's verified by CCG. I need to pay a few bills. Here you go. And now we got another fake card or fake authentic controversy that will rear its ugly head. There's just so many tentacles to this thing. Probably one of the reasons, obviously, eBay is trying to roll this out, in a slow manner, not charge for it
Right.
as of yet. And, it's going to be interesting.
John, when is it supposed to start? JSUT card asked. Do you know when they're going to be actually rolling it out?
It really didn't say. It sounds imminent. It sounds imminent, and what that means. Is it a month? Is it 2 months?
Right.
I think it's close if they announced it. You know what I mean? So, um, if it doesn't, could this thing be bad where it just doesn't work out very well? And they could it be one of those things they start and then scrap just because people say, hey, I'm not getting my cards timely?
Hard to say. Yeah.
This thing could be something that maybe gets reversed if it doesn't, go over well. How many people are doing it? eBay is, the world's marketplace when it comes to, sports card sales. Like, how many people that wasn't mentioned? It would be a question I would ask. Like, how many people are, in this vein, like doing it? And,
Right.
what do you, I'm sure they've graphed this out. They can look at all their sales and say,
Right.
hey, 10% of all our sports card sales are $750 and more. That would equate to, and I'm just making up numbers, 10,000 cards in a 3-month span. That's how that many per average per day. I'm sure they've done all the algorithms and whatnot, but we all know how algorithms can go. Once you got to be hands on. So I don't know. I like it, but I'm sort of leery to how this might go.
Yeah, Texas Car Dude said, I feel like this is like the luggage fee from airlines. Airports outsource the luggage delivery services, and we wait an hour sometimes for our luggage to arrive at the airport. Yeah, good point. Bo
Yeah.
thinks it's already started.
Okay. I have yet to see, and he might be right. I'm not gonna. Bo's on top of stuff.
Bo knows.
Yeah, Bo knows. um, Beau, not Bo.
Yeah, I know.
But I have not yet. I don't know if anyone else, if you have, and you want to type in the chat. I have not seen a final product. You know what I mean? The end result of something pass. I'm not saying no one hasn't had it yet. I just haven't seen anyone post the kind of, hey, look what they look like when I get them and they're
It looks like,
verified. I mean,
yeah, Bo's saying there's an icon like on several cards over 750, so an authenticity guarantee.
all right. Well, it's got to be encapsulated. It's got to be sealed. I mean, I think it comes. I think I read it comes in like a fold over sort of display envelope stand. But I mean, it's to me, it's got to be encapsulated. You can't just. It's got to be something where it's not just a certificate that you can slide over to another
Right.
card. And the way I read it was going to be encapsulated, not so much in like a grading case. The way I heard it was sort of like a magtite that would be sealed, where if the label to open it, you would break the label. Is the label sort of the authenticity? And if you open it, it breaks that authenticity. So, all right, here's Drew saying it's a display box with semi encapsulate. What, like, to me, what is semi encapsulation? Like, I'm either
Right.
sleeping or I'm awake. I'm not semi. Well, you can be semi awake. That's not necessarily true, but you get what I mean. Like, it's either it's encapsulated or it's not. I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it than that. But man, there's just so many ways this can go. So Drew is saying not encased as in slabs. Well, not slab, but I mean, we see what breakers do, right? They get a big hit for somebody, they'll put it in a magtite, and then they'll put their breaking sticker logo to seal the magtite. And
Right.
to open it to get the card, you would have to break that seal. I mean, to me, it's at least got to be that, So, you know. All right, let me give. Let's say some hellos from the chat. Obviously, Card Killer, Kevin Jones, Logan Ward, Bobby Burrell, Texas Card Do, Drew. Hey, Herman in Georgia, 3B collection. Ziggy No, welcome. Robin Brown. I'm trying to get everybody. Just again, baseball card trooper. Uncle Rich Klein's in there. JSUT card. Obviously, we talked about Bo. Welcome, Bo. Diego from Sports Cards Detour. again, feel free, man. The chat room's lighting up. That's awesome. But anyone wants to call, there you see the the link scrolling on the bottom. Guaranteed you won't be uglier than me, so you can put that fear out of your mind. So, um, yeah. So I guess Ziggy says, "Hey, PSA is semi-encapsulated. BGS is encapsulated. Water, meaning the waterproof." So I guess we're getting down to whether it's you can drop it in your sink
Take a
full of
tub with
water
it,
and
take a bath
yeah,
with it.
you get with your rubber ducky. Hey Bert, I got rubber ducky and my graded card. But so I guess encapsulated becomes a water. It's almost like a phone thing, right? Waterproof. It's IP67 or whatever the rating is. 80, whether it's rated. So Drew Hearn says that's how I take all my showers.
Yeah, guys, I think it's going to be more like rock hard review. Where you
Yeah.
just put in something and you put a tamper-proof seal on it, and it's good as long as it stays in that. But yeah, a couple other points about this is that eBay is huge, but Fanatics is on the scene now. They're huge also. What do they think about this? Because I mean, they want to bring a better customer experience to sports cards. And is this doing that? I mean, I think if Fanatics was addressing this problem, and they will be addressing this problem, they want people to be able, collectors to be able to buy securely, to not worry about whether they get something it's not authentic. And so we've talked about how Fanatics probably doesn't want to get into grading, but they probably want to get into authentication, which is kind of what eBay's doing. And my guess is the Fanatics is looking at this and trying to figure out, hey, we don't like the way eBay's doing it, but apparently it's something we need to worry about. The cards are out there that are expensive. And basically what it's going to do, it's going to squeeze out more and more, as StarStock is finding out, ungraded better cards that they're having to somehow evaluate. Um, and raw cards that are expensive are becoming more and more suspect. And so Fanatics is looking at that. StarStock is reevaluating their business model because, like I say, ungraded stuff, that's expensive, buyer beware.
Right.
Yep. I don't know if either you gentlemen or anyone in the chat room, there was a rumor, and there's a lot of rumors in this hobby. Some come to fruition, some never do. But I heard some whispers and rumblings that, piggybacking off Dr. Jim's point, that Fanatics was looking at purchasing CSG. Now, again, you have to be for sale to be bought. I don't know if that's the case, but also we've learned money talks as well. So there was a rumor that Fanatics was interested in purchasing a graded company and CSG. I've heard SGC. I've talked to them. They're denying any kind of that they're for sale or going to be bought by anybody. But CSG was the one I heard the most. The number one, I guess, to you guys or anyone in chat. Did anyone else hear that? And might that be Fanatics' way of, like Dr. Jim just said, sort of getting involved in this by purchasing them, and it just so happens they're the ones eBay selected. Might this sort of be sort of a prearranged or preordained type of deal?
And that's what it sounds like. I mean, we got a couple of people in the chat even. We got Drew stating an owner of Fanatics has major stake in CSG. And Ziggy's been kind of saying too, his first step, in his opinion, with Fanatics, CSG, and eBay. So yeah, I mean, could it possibly be? Could this be that first initial step for them? Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, where maybe like I know they've invested, but where they fully kind of own the brand, if you will, or controlling interest anyway of CSG, and maybe even Fanatics want to see how CSG/CCG does with this before they maybe fully commit to acquire the IP and the brand and the company. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
well, we'll see. We'll see. Ziggy puts merger same investors. Bo says Michael Rubin is an investor in CSG's parent company. So in a sense, there's some sort of ties, some sort of lines connecting the companies. And so Dr. Jim is right. It may be the way of Fanatics to get that foot in the authentication door with this, and tied to eBay as well. And let's be real, eBay, love them or hate them, or anywhere in between. They're really the number one site for buying and selling sports cards. We've seen other selling platforms make a little bit dense, but they still are the creme de la creme when it comes to purchasing sports cards and memorabilia. So, any final thoughts on this, or do you want to move on to our next topic?
I think we're good. I'm good.
All right. So our next topic, I saw this. I kind of knew it without seeing this photo on social media. Let me pull it up. So, according to the Card Ladder Index, Josh, Chris, and Christina, we've all talked to them, or they've been on our respective show. Football is up over 161% over the last year. Baseball is 91% on the uptick, and basketball is only up 44% over the same time period. What to make of this? Just one of those things, or is there a reason?
So is this as of just recently?
It's recent. Yeah, it's recently. Yep.
It's crazy too because we're in season for NBA. I mean, we're obviously still in season for football as it's getting to the end here, but we're in season for NBA. So for that to be, I don't know, is a lot of it to do with, again, like we always talk, is there overproduction of the cards? Is money running out for people? You see product at just about any Walmart, Target now. I mean, some type of product where we couldn't see anything anybody could unless they met the vendor in the back or wherever for many, many months, many months. And now it's at our fingertips. We can go on, even like Mosaic Basketball, you could get the cello packs, and I think even blasters, like even up to last week, they had them on there and they were still available. Usually that stuff's just gone. It's gone right away. You can't even get to it. You can't even buy it. Go to checkout, it says out of stock. So I mean, I think there's a lot of different factors in there. It's interesting to me though that it's only 44% and we're in season. So how
about football? I mean, football, I'm a football guy. That warms my heart on a personal level. 161%. Still quarterback driven, but we're starting to see wide receivers get some love. Jonathan Taylor this year, with the year he had, Derrick Henry has gotten some hobby love. So we're seeing sort of an uptick in football, which is good to see. I always thought it was too low,
right.
I'm biased, but from a personal taste. Baseball, baseball, I think, does, I don't know if you'll agree, the worst job in sort of promoting itself. And then talk of right now we're in a lockout, and there's talk that the start of the season definitely is going to be almost definitely going to be delayed. So they're not helping their own cause, yet it's still, according to that index, up 91%. So that could change if they don't get out there and play ball, as they say. And you brought out a point, Jeff. In the Walmarts, I'm used to going into Walmarts, checking the card section and just seeing empty shelves. And and now I'm going in there, and there is product there. And then some of my Walmarts, used to be one item per person per day. Some of the Walmarts now have rescinded that policy. Like one of the Walmarts that's in my area, you can go in there and buy whatever you want, and yet those shelves are still, I don't want to say fully stocked, but there's
right.
stuff to be had. And so what you want to make of that, you can. Basketball. I one thing I know might be weird. One thing I think that hurts basketball is a lot of these guys take like days off. They call it load management. LeBron will, with little injuries. Some of the old guys like me remember guys playing in football, like Jack unbroken leg,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if that's a
Broken ribs.
factor. I don't know if that's a factor. Um, just something that pops into my mind. You know, a lot of the better teams. I don't want to say all of them. Maybe on the West Coast, so there's some East Coast bias. I'm just shooting stuff at the wall, guys. I'm not saying I think that's the only reason. I think just could be a factor. I mean, what do you think? Why only 44%? I'd like to get even Dr. Jim. You've been doing this a long time. Why do you think that's trailing behind? And at one point, before basketball was really the driving force behind the hobby boom the last few years. So why? Or maybe it's that, Dr. Jim. Maybe it's just like it crescendoed so much. There's just no way it could keep that pace.
Well, there's a complete and outrageous over reliance on percentages in this industry, and I love a lot of the things that Card Ladder does, but this over reliance on percentages is being meaningful. That this percentage is higher than another. The best way to have a high percentage is start with a low base. For example, who were you picking for the Super Bowl? Well, clearly, year over year, the one with the biggest percentage increase is the Bengals. Okay, well, what's that got to do with whether they're going to win the game on Sunday evening? So the percentages. It's what is the value of the card right now, what it used to be, what it's going to be, but the percentages talks about what it was, whatever 6 months ago, whenever the baseline is, and if it's gone up. Well, I don't necessarily want to be buying cards that have already gone up. I want to buy cards that are going to go up. And
Right.
so it's too much reliance on percentages without looking at the historical basis. But, I have seen analysis where if you look at the trend over more than just 6 months or a year, you can see an overall, gradual uptick. But comparing sports, show me the best card in the best set for each sport and compare those. Compare Brady to Jordan to Acuna or whatever. Just take one player from each and see what it is. And when they have the same numbers of cards being produced, in the same pop report, things like that, then look at those comparisons. But just purely percentages can be very misleading, and people need to do more homework than just looking at if it's gone up less, that makes me more interested than if it's gone up a whole lot, then it's
Right.
maybe overripe. So what matters is what the price is and what it's going to be. And the
So
percentages can't tell you that.
one thing too, how much of an impact? I know one player can't make all the impact, but how much of an impact has Sir Zion Williamson made in that change? As he's not been active, he hasn't been playing. He was one of the big faces, names, the youngsters coming up. I mean, how much does that or doesn't that play into effect of that? I mean, you really don't see anything about Zion anymore, right? The big Zion logo man card gets pulled at a real bad time, but which again, if he comes back and plays, could be great. You know what I mean? But how much of an impact of things like that? Luca had a
Jeff,
slow
Jeff,
start to the
he
season.
has no impact if he is eliminated from the index. So as
Right.
long as you can, not gerrymander, but as long as you can kind of put together your index of the important cards. Well, Zion was at the top of the heap, and now it's a wait and see. And
Right.
so that doesn't reflect the narrative of that basketball is super hot, because some people get injured and some people do not fulfill their whole potential, and
Right.
others do. So, we're Ja's now in there,
Yeah, Jaws is
coming on
insane.
strong.
Yeah.
And
And
so
the
as
other
long
thing,
as you can, after the fact, put together this market basket, that can be suspect. Even if
yeah.
your intentions are pure, it still can be suspect.
And I'm with Doug. I'm not an analytics guy. I'm old school. I grew up in the '70s with cards, the '80s. I was, a fan of whether it be teams or certain players, and even today, that's how I did. That's my analytics, right? Either watching the game, and obviously you can't watch every game; they're going on at the same time. So what do? I open up my phone and my app in the morning, right? And I look at all the box scores. Who did what? Who's playing consistent? That's the analytics. That's how I break down analytics. Who's playing well? Because I mean, at the end of the day, right? Cards. We're looking at cards values going up or down. I don't want to say 100%, but a high percentage of that is based on performance. There's speculation that drives prices, especially in baseball and prospecting. I get it. That's not performance based, but generally, card values are based on performance. The guy's playing well, his cards go up. He's struggling, he gets sent down, he gets traded, he's struggling. The cards are generally going to go down. So while analytics are interesting, to me, it's not the end all be all. I kind of look at them as sort of a guideline, but they're not the Bible by any means. In my book, what performance and what these guys do out there on the court, the ice, the baseball field, the football field, and any other playing surface. That's to me the best analytics, and I've used them since a 7-year-old kid. For the 2 cents that was worth. I think what is it they're saying, right? Paralysis by analysis. I think sometimes we get too caught up in numbers. It's almost like we're not even, I see the players, as people put on their pants one leg at a time. That's their job. It's an awesome job to get to play sports for a living, but they work hard too and grinding in the off season to stay in shape. So when we get into analytics, sometimes it makes them sort of an inanimate object, almost like a stock or not a real person, even though stocks are based on companies that are employed or real people. So I'm not a big analytics guy. I'll just because of the content creation, I'll look at them in that respect. But I will say this: I've never made a purchase based on a chart or graph that someone else showed me or that I seen myself. I've any purchases I make are either because I just like the card or like the player, or he's playing real well, and I think that particular card or cards are undervalued, and I'm going to buy them at that price type of deal. That's to me, that's my analytics. I'm sure other people do it like that, and there's other people who swear by real analytics and subscribe to that. They that's what that system's built on. But for me, I'm old school in how I determine that kind of thing. I mean, Dr. Jim, you're a professor of with numbers. I mean, what's your thoughts on analytics in general? I'm not saying card ladder specifically, but how much credence do you give? And there's more than card ladder. There's other places now. Actually, there's new ones popping up almost every week. What's your thoughts on analytics in the card space?
There's different schools of thought and different personalities of people that want to buy what's hot and hope it continues to go up. But let's just take three hypothetical cards that 5 years ago, each one of these three different cards, three different players, was $100. Okay, so you had $100 card, card A, $100 card, card B, $100 card, card C. Okay, fast forward to now, 5 years later, one of those $100 cards, the first one is now only worth $50. The second one is still worth $100. The third one is now worth $200. Which one do you buy? And without any more information, most people in the hobby buy the one that is now $200 because it's trending up. Okay. On the other hand, there could be more to the story. My personality is such, I'm looking at the card that's $100, that's still $100, and I'm trying to evaluate, is this something that hasn't gone up yet? Is it a player that's out of favor or just been ignored, but he's ready to make a move? And same thing with the card that was 100 and now is 50. It may be that it just the comps, it just never really got. I mean, there aren't enough people. There's not enough supply, or not enough demand for the supply. And so you have to look at it more than just the percentage of something that doubled, because maybe it's doubled and that's it. Whereas the other one could double, and the other one could quadruple. If they were similar cards 5 years ago, I want to do the detective work and figure out why is it that they've gone in different directions. And that ought to be fun, John. That ought to look at, maybe somebody got injured 5 years ago and fell out of favor, and then but now is healthy, and now is going on to be an announcer, or some other way they're in the public eye. So I just think it's more to it than just percentages. That's my
No,
soapbox for today.
I agree, Dr. Jim. I think I don't want to speak for you guys. You're right here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the three of us, at least on this screen, I got into cards because I was, I played baseball and I liked sports and watched even as a kid. I didn't understand it in the same way I do as I got older, but I just loved the game, going to Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium back in the day. If it wasn't for me being a sports fan, I would have never got into cards. I think the same applies to you two gentlemen. I think a lot of people probably that fits the bill, but I think there is people today that are getting into cards not because of that, for different reasons, whatever those.
Strictly business.
Yeah. And to each their own. I mean, I don't think it would be right for me to say that's the wrong reasons. That's their reasons. They're different than mine. We all have, it's like church, right? There's all different denominations and religions, but as long as if you have faith, that's a good thing, I believe. And so it's my line I always use, right? If you hobby your way, if you're not hurting anyone or robbing anyone or doing anything criminal, so be it. Well, I may not do it the same way, and that's okay. But I think there's more people today that get into the hobby not as sports fans than in comparison to past years. I don't have any charts or analytics. It's just a hunch and gut feeling. But I mean, I think that. And that may not even be a bad thing. The hobby evolves in all sorts of different ways, and but I think those are the folks that probably give more credence to those up and downs on that graph than I do. Where I'm more, let's watch these performances, let's go to the games, and let's look at you can't watch all the games at once, so let's look at some box scores on the games I didn't catch, and we'll go from there. But again, that's just speaking for me. Again, any closing thoughts, guys, on analytics?
I think the big thing here is, and I think what everybody's been kind of touching on, and I've seen a lot of comments throughout the chat as well, which we appreciate, but is really collect what you want. Collect how you want to collect. Don't try to collect or buy things because someone else is buying them if that's not what you like, or if that's not what you're in it for. Do what makes you happy. Do what keeps it fun. Do what keeps it creative, and just stay in that lane. Don't.
I agree. I saw a comment from John Keating that said just collect. And then there's a good go ahead, Dr. Jim.
Guys, I mean, what you're saying is right, but Jeff, people are collecting what they want to collect because it's what the cool kids collect. So they're liking what people tell them to like. So, and then you figure out, well, I must really like that because everybody's talking about it. And so it is what they like because it's what everybody liked. They don't want to look stupid that they're collecting something that nobody else likes.
Right.
So it's more complicated than that. That you think, oh, I'm just going to collect what I like. Well, yeah, but you're encouraged what to like based on what gets all the action.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But not everybody has the money to buy what everybody. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So you got to kind of get in your place. You got to be where you can be, and you got to collect what you can.
Okay,
I guess
which is the reason why there's been a bidding up of base cards, because
Right.
the really expensive cards that are really high demand, very low supply, that make headlines, most people cannot afford those. And so they think, well, wait a minute, but I can at least afford a base card that are very mass produced. And so that's what they go for. And those have gotten bid up to where, and then you've a lot of what you're talking about with the card ladder of the volatility in the market is base cards with high pop.
Yep.
Right.
Well, look what we saw this during the boom, right? We saw the rise of second year cards, not rookie cards, right? And I think the reasoning Dr. Jim gave with base card explosion is the reason second year cards exploded. I can't afford that rookie card. Now I'm going to get the next best thing because it's 25% of what the rookie card's worth, and it's only 1 year off. That market has settled down significantly. A lot of people got caught holding that bag. To be honest with you, but that's what people do is they go to the next level, right? I can't afford that level. What's the next best level I go to? A comment I wanted to highlight: Bobby Burrell, kind of piggybacking off what Dr. Jim just said. Makes it difficult for kids to collect for the fun of it when values tend to be the first thought now when we talk about cards. It's true. When I started again a long time ago, 1979, 7-year-old kid, I didn't know any values. I just knew, Reggie Jackson played for the Yankees and Thurman Munson, was my favorite player until he, tragically passed away, and Willie Randolph, Greg Nettles. I didn't care what they were worth. They could be $100 or they could be 25 cents. I just wanted to pull them out of my pack. And again, we're comparing, I get it. I'm comparing 1979 to, 2022. And there is no comparison in reality, other than some of the cards are still on card stock and not chromium. But other than that, I get it. It's a different generation. But I've titled myself the old man on the porch enough times I can still get away with that comment. So, collect what you like, whether that's expensive cards because you like expensive cards, or, hey, I collect, like Herman Bryant said, I collect all Braves. I don't care what Otani and Soto values are unless they wind up on the Braves. Then I'll care, So, and that's really the way to probably go about it. Just, keep it to a level where you enjoy, and it is what it is. All right, we got 12 minutes left, guys. Let's end on a high note with talk about the Super Bowl. I'm a football guy. I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler guy. Many people know that. So the Bengals in the Super Bowl it hurts a little bit, but my son gets mad at me when I say this. I love Joe Burrow. I'm a Joe Burrow fan, as crazy as that sounds, being a Steeler guy. Wish he was on the Steelers. I wish I could make that happen. But my son Jordan's always like, Dad, how can you be a Steeler fan and like Joe Burrow? He's on the Bengals. And I'm like, I'm not a Bengals fan, but I can root for a guy that I think's a good guy doing good things. And sure, when we play him twice a year during the regular season, I want him to not play good, and I want to win that game. But I liked him when he was at LSU, and I followed college football, so I knew his tribulations, at Ohio State. There was one of the things on one of my football shows I compared. I didn't say he was going to be, but I said Joe Burrow has sort of a Tom Brady it quality to him. And I'm not going to say he's going to win 7 rings or even this one and get one, but there is something about him that just reminds me he's got a little Brady, whatever that is. It's hard to even explain. I don't think other than Bengals fans and liars, no one predicted before the season started the Bengals to be playing in this game. Here they are. I think a lot of Bengals fans wouldn't have picked them to be playing, being realists, right? But here they are. They just won 3 games. They were not favored. In other words, the underdog. And the Rams were a team I picked on my shows. So I got a half right. I think I picked the Chiefs versus the Rams before the season started. So I had my Rams pick right. And so with that mindset, you say, well, John, you're going to pick the Rams to win this game. And it's hard to pick against the Bengals now, because if you did that the last 3 weeks, like most
Wow.
people did, you lost money. So I'm looking for a good game. I think this is going to be a close game, as many of the postseason games have been. We've seen overtime games. We've seen walk-off touchdown wins. We've seen walk-off field goal wins. I think this is setting up to be along those lines. This is a game where, if I'm a gambler, I don't know where, I might just save my money, eat some chicken wings, and enjoy the game, because I think this is actually a very good matchup. Even with me picking the Rams, the Bengals are just finding ways to beat teams, no matter what the line is on the game. I'm looking for just a fun game. I told that, and Jordan's like, "How can you got to root for the Rams?" I guess I'm rooting for the Rams, but it wouldn't hurt me as much as I initially thought if the Bengals won. Maybe it'll motivate the front office of the Steelers to get their stuff together, if you will. Maybe I'm rooting for in that sort of terms. But guys, I rambled on enough about this game. People in chat, but you want to put a score? Well, I'll put them on the screen. But what do you guys think happens in this game?
Yeah. So first of all, I got to say, as you being a Steelers fan, it's pretty incredible to hear you say "Go Bengals" as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Well, hang on.
said,
hang on. I don't want to be misquoted. I didn't say "Go Bengals." I just said it won't sting as much to me as it probably will to other Steeler fans. And that's
okay. I
that's
thought
where
I
my
heard
son.
something about you
So
kind
I'm
of
not
rooting for
waving the
Joe
pennant.
Burrow being
I'm not.
winning.
I'm rooting more for Joe Burrow than the Bengals. It's just unfortunate he plays on the Bengals.
But
That's
what about Matthew Stafford, who put in all those years in Detroit, never had a defense to back him, never had a defense to hold offenses, put up tons of passing yards. What is he, top 10 in the NFL in passing yards, right? What about the Staffords of the worlds? Like, they don't want to give him any love. I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals are going to be a team that are going to be just like the Chiefs. They're going to be very competitive the next couple of years if they can keep their team together. I also feel like you hear a lot of comparisons now, because he's now in a Super Bowl, Joey Burrow, that, you get those similarities or comparisons to not Brady as much, but Mahomes, right? There's kind of saying he's Mahomes talking hobby as well, kind of where he's went in the market with his rise through the postseason and into the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm going to root for the Rams and Stafford to get a ring here before he retires.
Yeah, I like Matt Stafford, just for the record, and that's one of the reasons I picked him. I think he finally has some support around him. That's why they were my preseason pick. So I mean, just for the sake of being right, yeah, I'm rooting for the Rams. Here's a point from Rich Klein, and he's right. John wants a team to win from his division to win the title. There's a part of me just to motivate the Steelers front office, like, competition. The hottest fire forges the best steel. Let's go Steelers. The Bengals just went from last in the division to Super Bowl champs.
So what you're
that's
saying
what
is
happened.
go get Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh?
I don't know if it's gonna happen. It's not my money. I'd spend it for him. Let's go get Aaron Rodgers. But
That would be a perfect
I don't
spot.
know. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen. Everything,
No,
I
right.
read all the beat writer stuff. I don't foresee it. I'd be pleasantly surprised, and I'd sign that. I'd sign off on that in a minute. I know he's a quirky dude and kind of gruff, but I just want him to play football for 60 minutes, and I can deal with the holding your foot up to a camera. Doing a web call. I'll deal with that if he gets us a win on Sunday. So I'm putting the scores up that people are predicting. We have two people picked the Rams. I did see someone picked Bengals. There's Logan. He's going with Rams 28, Bengals 24.
Dr. Beckett, who are you going for?
I'm going for the Rams.
Is it the Stafford deal or just
local? He's local.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's
That's
right.
enough
It's
to
front.
break the tie. I mean, I think the Bengals have had an amazing season. Like I say, they're trending
Yeah.
up, but still, Stafford's paid his dues. We'll see. This is his big moment on the biggest stage. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be good. He had a kind of a his NFC Championship game. He threw a duck that Tart had in his hands and dropped. That could have changed the complexion of that
But he
game.
also had a
Frankly,
touchdown dropped bomb off the fingertips from
yeah,
I don't even know how to pronounce the dude's name, but it literally he
yeah.
should have caught that pass. Like
Yeah, so that game was closer than I thought. I thought the Rams would actually handle the Niners a little more easier.
they're
And if
tough.
Tart makes that play, that could be a different. We could be talking about a Bengals 49ers game. So Stafford's played very well in the postseason, minus the throw here and there. We can say that about every quarterback. I think at one point he had 19 touchdowns in the postseason. I think he's now over 20. Burrow, Cincinnati's sort of winning on both sides of the ball. It's more of a team effort, but Joe Burrow is not making the mistake. One thing that scares me, if I was the Bengals, their line is not great. He got sacked 9 times in the divisional game, and they still won somehow. The Rams front 7 is pretty good. You got Donald on one side, Von Miller on the other, and some guys in between. They can also blitz Jalen Ramsey. So if the Bengals front line doesn't hold up, which it's shown in the past, it sometimes doesn't to the tune of 9 sacks. It could be a long day for the Bengals, but I think it'll hold up. I think this game's going to be, even seeing what people picking scores, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be entertaining. If you like 90s rap, the halftime show, you're going to enjoy that as well. And I think it's going to be, I probably jinx it saying this, I think it's going to be a close game and maybe one of those Super Bowl games that comes down to the final drive. And, I've heard even Joe Burrow be compared to Joe Montana. Unfortunately, there'll be no John Candy in the stands for Joe Burrow to say during the huddle, "Hey, there's John Candy." Some people may get that reference to Joe Montana on the last drive. Everyone's feeling stressed, and he's like, "Hey, there's John Candy in the stands, guys." And Joe Burrow have to use a different celebrity on that last drive if it comes down to that. But I'm looking forward to a good game. I think we're going to get one. I'm not necessarily. I'm rooting for Joe Burrow and in the Rams, I guess for the I don't have the Steelers are not in it. I don't, it doesn't really matter to me either way. But it'd be nice to see Stafford win. He's got a supporting cast. It's been a bugaboo of playing in Detroit, and they're getting their act together now a little bit as well. So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be fun. Any final thoughts? We're at the 58 minute mark here.
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you Tuesday. I believe I saw Brad say I know Suze will be on Tuesday, and I forgot who else. Brad, if you're up there, throw down on the screen. That's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time, and then the show will be back as always Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Feel free to call in. You can find us on YouTube if you didn't catch the show live. You can find us on YouTube anytime you like, back episodes. And same thing, we're on all major podcast platforms. If when guys like me are on the show and you don't want to see ugly mugs, you can just download the audio. I don't blame you. We appreciate that just the same. So with that being said, for Jeff and Dr. Jim, thanks everyone. The chat room was very busy, and we appreciate that. And we'll see you very soon.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.